Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you're brand new. Welcome back if you're not. And welcome home if that suits you. Today, we're going to talk about what is up in terms of energy and astrology for the week of the 7th through the 13th of July, 2025. Um, we're in it. So, Neptune went retrograde last week, joining Pluto in retrograde season. So, let's talk about what happens this week. On Monday, the 7th, the very first aspect of our week is that Uranus moves into Gemini at 2:45 a.m. Central Time. Not long after that, Venus in Gemini trines retrograding Pluto. The Sagittarius moon will quincunx Jupiter, trine, hello, Mercury in Leo, and then square Mars in Virgo. Um, like, phew, right? Between Neptune's retrograde and Uranus moving into Gemini, it is a wonder that anyone is sleeping. So if you're not, know that you're not alone. uh, Uranus is entering that Gemini airspace, and this concept of epic shift that I have been talking about for half of a year um, is really, really all about setting up this groundwork, right? And we're getting into that place. So, like, it's getting real, y'all. It's getting real. That sense of change that everyone has been commenting on, right? This notion that time is speeding up, that everything is up in the air. It's real, right? You're not imagining it. And most importantly, you ain't seen nothing yet, right? Like it's here. Uranus is the change bringer. And in Gemini, those doors of possibility are not just opened, they are eradicated. Um, they are removed. And we are now in this space where any and everything is possible. As Venus is trining Pluto, retrograding Pluto, right? Even our very foundations are being uprooted. You are being asked to dig very deeply for a full on ideological transformation. Okay, how can you support yourself? How can you do that, right? So the things that we're talking about are leading with the sense of home. And remember, wherever Venus is involved, what we want to do is really talk about what home looks like, smells like, sounds like, tastes like, feels like. And in Gemini, all of your possibilities are reoriented. So come back to those things. Lead with that sense, lead with those answers, lead with openness, lead with the curiosity of a child whose faith is unjaded, right? This is heart space energy. This is time to really give your heart the go. um, it's your highest and best after all, right? So be all in. Be all in right now to whatever those answers are for you. On Tuesday, that Sag moon will quincunx the sun and trine Chiron. Check in with your deep habits. Okay, this Venus trining Pluto is really calling out your behind the scenes pattern creation tendencies, the mechanisms that have created your patterns. And as that Sagittarius moon is activating the sun and Chiron, it's going to get personal. And so make sure that you are asking yourself where you're letting yourself be your own block, right? Where are you resisting change? And tell yourself the truth about those answers and make sure that you are allowing those answers to be the driver for your next course of action. Okay. On Wednesday, the moon moves into Capricorn overnight, and then we quincunx Uranus. We square that Saturn Neptune pairing, quincunx Venus, and oppose Jupiter. Um, so Saturn and Neptune are at the apex of a T square with the moon and Jupiter. So take the opportunity to pause and do a check-in when it comes to your trajectory, right? Are you on track? Because remember, what you're amplifying is what you're calling in. And so you want to make sure that that trajectory is true. Otherwise, right? It's so easy to veer off course really, really hard. Um, so make sure that you're on track and make sure that you're getting to where you want. And if you have kind of gone side questing, make sure that you understand the difference between a side quest and a ramble and a diversion. Right? Just make sure and get back on path if you need to. On Thursday, the 10th, that Capricorn moon will quincunx Mercury and trine Mars in the morning. And then in the afternoon, at 3:37 Central Time, the moon opposes the sun at 18 degrees of Capricorn for a Capricorn full moon. Now, the other thing that I do want to add into this day is that Mercury starts moving into storm, right, for Mercury's upcoming retrograde. Uh, this happens at 12 degrees of Leo. Okay. So this week is a very nuanced week, right? There's a lot of delicacy and influence in the energies this week. So the nodes are boosting the signal of this full moon, um, allowing you to really witness the width of your own destiny and how you're creating it. There is a lot of capacity for finishing up some lessons or projects, right? For witnessing that you have done whatever it is you needed to do, or perhaps as much as you can do in some areas. And so if you feel like you're just plugging along somewhere and not getting any results, what I want you to do is pay attention to the places where putting something down, even if only for now, will allow you to create some space for you to take up something else that might be more pressing, right? So pay attention and be in that space to allow that because those empty hands might really serve you, uh, especially when it comes to choosing your path, right? If you've given enough energy to something and it hasn't completed, or it's still in process, or it's really frustrating you, put it down. Come back to it. Shelve it for now, right? There's no law that says you have to finish the thing immediately if there are other things that you could be doing, especially now. On Friday, the 11th, that Cap Moon will square Chiron, and then the moon moves into Aquarius, and we'll have a we'll have a trine to Uranus, a sextile to that Saturn Neptune pair in Aries, and a conjunction to Pluto. So on Friday, take the time to look around. It is always important to know who is standing next to you, right? Who is in your corner. Focus your attention on community, on your tribe, on the people that you love in your circle. You might learn something, and absolutely don't be afraid to lift up some rocks and look under them, right? Or don't shy away if someone else um, tips your rock up and you have the opportunity to shine some light or have some light shown for you, right? This is how this works, this exchange of energy, right? So don't back away from that is kind of what I'm saying. Um, okay. On Saturday, that Aquarius moon is going to quincunx Jupiter, trine Venus, oppose Mercury, and then quincunx Mars. And at 11:07 p.m. Central Time, Saturn moves retrograde at 1 degree of Aries. So pay attention to the places that you really want some things to be true in your life. Um, we go. Sorry, hope that didn't make you dizzy. Um, anyway, the things that you are invested in, the places where you want things to be true but aren't, right? Remember, we talked about those projects that might not be coming to fruition. Pay attention to the things that you are really invested in as being true in your life, but don't feel like they're quite making it there, right? So some days that we learn that we might have been misguided. Some days that new information is very important in terms of how we reframe. And here's the thing: Saturday, the 12th, might be that day for you where you have some pretty large awarenesses drop in for you. That's okay. That is okay. Especially in this post Capricorn full moon awareness, right? The key here is don't spend a lot of time laboring about it. Just change course, right? The field ahead of you is wide open. So don't look back. Just reaffirm your trajectory and let that happen. On Sunday, the 13th, that Aquarius moon will quincunx the sun, will sextile Chiron, and then in the evening, the moon moves into Pisces, and then that Pisces moon promptly squares Uranus. You will absolutely have a great sense to how and where you have been limiting yourself on Sunday. You have choices, right? Your choices are dive into that shoulda, coulda, woulda business, or choose anew, choose with more information, choose something else, choose to lean in a different way. And since there's not one thing that the past can bring you except more awareness and lessons, the choice seems very clear, but it is still your choice. So I say, as always, choose wisely. And as that moon moves into Pisces in the evening, I will also say you also have a choice when it comes to honest self care or avoidance and numbing out. I would urge you to choose wisely, whatever that means to you, right? All right, let's get talking. On Monday, we have the Page of Wands and the Three of Pentacles. Monday is that day where we're talking about, whew, right? Uranus moves into Gemini. Again, opening up all of these possibilities, right? Really allowing you to light things up with your sense of engagement, with your passion, right? This airspace is it's kind of a free for all right now. That's what it feels like. You get to choose devotion. You get to choose where you're going to land, and you're going to do that by the course of action that you choose, right? We have Venus trining Pluto asking you, where are you going to lean in? Where are you going to do this work? Well, you have to love what it is that you're going to do, right? But this is a full on ideological transformation, and you have to choose, right? You have to choose to support yourself. You have to choose to lead with this sense of home, to lead with your own curiosity, and then make sure that it's something that you're willing to put the time and effort into. Otherwise, right? Motivation is a beautiful thing, but motivated change doesn't always become devoted change. So make sure that whatever it is that is juicing you up is a thing that you love enough to give your energy to in the long term, not just in the right now. Uranus is a shifter, is a changer, and Venus and Pluto standing there, trining up in air signs is about your idea. It's about the way that you are intellectually able to shift gears. Make sure that your shifting gears has something underneath it. Otherwise, you will struggle to maintain that shift. So just make sure that it's something you love. On Tuesday, you have the Ten of Cups. Look at how beautiful this Ten of Cups is, dudes. It's amazing. And the Eight of Cups. So check in with your deep habits. Oh, yeah, we're talking about pattern creation mechanisms here. What are you invested in right now that you need to move away from? What are you giving your time and energy and heart to that you need to shift and change? Well, it's we don't have energy themes for no good reason. Where are you allowing yourself to be your biggest block, right? Where are you unfulfilled? Where are you unsatisfied? And how are you the driving force in that? Walk away from it if you have to. Make sure you're witnessing it mm, authentically enough to tell the truth, right? We try to make sure that we're telling the truth about those around us. Well, the reality is we need to be able to tell the truth about ourselves so that we can open to what comes next, right? Otherwise, none of our actions are going to mean anything because we'll just be spiraling. This is about you, no one else. On Wednesday, the High Priestess and the Wheel of Fortune. Um, we talked about this as the day where Saturn and Neptune are at the apex of that T square. They're also at the apex of that mini trine that we talked about being overhead for the next long while, right? Um, and because we have Saturn there with Neptune right now, and we have Venus there with Uranus right now, we have a little bit of we have some force to the softness, if that makes sense, right? This is like that iron fist. Wait, iron fist in the velvet glove. Yes, thank you. That is exactly what I was trying to say. Make sure that you're pausing. Make sure that you see that as we're doing these big, big shifts, right? This is epic shift, y'all. We're not playing. Where are you located on this wheel? If you are out here and witnessing it as topsy turvy, bring yourself back to the center, become the hub. You know how to do it, right? Check in when it comes to your trajectory. Are you on track, right? Where are you going? Are you veering off course? Are you side questing? You already know the answers to this, right? You're not going to have to really ponder too hard. You know what changes you're in line with, and you know what changes you're avoiding. So please, 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 for you, pay attention. On Thursday, we have the Queen of Swords and the Three of Cups. Okay. This is our full moon day, right? This is 18 cap full moon. So this is getting down to business, right? No nonsense, absolutely perfect. But also, because the nodes are here, we can witness this as part of our destiny in any way that we want to. You have that capacity to really choose to cut things off in whatever way it is that is not really contributing to your heart's joy. If it's not bringing you joy, if it's not fulfilling you, if it feels like too much work right now to stay on course with something that you know is just an obligation in your mind, then it's time, right? Right now, lean in with what is bringing you joy. Lean in and use that sword to cut away anything that is not in line with your long term trajectory. How do you know? Does it make you happy? Does it bring you joy? Is it making you smile? If not, pay attention. On Friday, the Three of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles. Look, we talked about this as that day where we want to look around, right? And take note of who is standing around us and where we're leaning in. Certainly, everyone has some old pain, right? Everyone has some old loss. Everyone has been betrayed. Everyone has been left hanging. That's life. That's life. What are you doing with it? Are you doing the work to move past it, or are you staying right here where you feel pierced? Here's the deal. It's absolutely okay to feel that way, and it's absolutely okay to be in it. Absolutely. Ask for help, right? If you need assistance, if you need facilitation, if you need support, ask for it. You can never get what you don't ask for. Unless the universe just knows and hands it to you. But don't count on that if you don't ask, right? If you can't, if you're still afraid to look in your own darkness, probably no one is going to toss an echo into your chamber and reach out a hand. So make sure that you're doing the work and make sure that you're opening your mouth and offering yourself up for support and to be supported, right? That's how it works. That's how this works, especially in community. On Saturday, the 12th, we have the Chariot and the Ace of Cups. What a beautiful pairing, right? What a beautiful pairing. This is that day where we're offering to ourselves the reality check. Some things that we know we want to be true, but aren't. This is what that full moon is bringing us, reality check. So pay attention to the ways that you really are kind of maybe veering off course. The Chariot requires you to be in check, triple check, right? You have to constantly make sure that you're in alignment. Otherwise, you're going to go off course. And it might not be that side quest, find the prize at the end way, right? It's always about the journey, certainly, but mostly it's about, is it making your heart more? Is it creating what is being offered to you? The field is absolutely wide open now. And with Saturn turning retrograde in Aries, ask yourself how you've been veering off course and how that's felt, right? It is your offering right now to look at all these cups you have here. This is the offering to you. How are we really leaning into the things that bring us joy? You are being gifted with an opportunity as Saturn goes retrograde to stop, to recreate your moving forward, right? To reorient your course with what works for you, with no one else. Remember, this is Saturn. Saturn is about rules, limitations, boundaries, and restrictions. How are you creating your own rules? And are they filling your cup or not, right? It's important to pay attention. In fact, it's so important that we get the Chariot again with the Four of Pentacles for Sunday. So we're not looking back, right? This is the how and where we are limiting ourselves. How are we holding back? Or how are we moving forward? How is what we're holding back on restricting our actual pattern? Certainly, there are some things that we need to mind our trajectory with. However, you have options. You can be in this space of coulda, shoulda, woulda, this space of holding on, this space of conservation, this space of, uh-oh, here's what's happening. Oh, I'm just going to sit here. You get nowhere if you just sit here, right? So make sure that you are choosing your course wisely. Remember that the Chariot, which is here twice, is all about here we are, right? Here we are. We have to make sure that we're using both sides of our brain, that we're using our head and our heart, and that we're keeping true. Otherwise, we're going off course. That's no way to be. This all ends. Yes, it does. This is your playground, right? This is your lesson. This is the way things move for you. So stop playing with your life, right? Stop playing with your life. Assess what's happening. Sit with your big picture. This full moon is giving you this big picture. Where you're going is up to you, but it's also up to you, right? Are you minding that? We have a lucky number 7 on our 7-7 portal of Uranus moving into Gemini. Don't take that lightly. A deep breath. Let's see what that has to say, especially since this is the Oracle of the 7 energies. Okay. I like it. A deep breath. The key concepts here are a genuine expectation of danger, the projection of a threat without substance, fight or flight mode, the inability to focus, trusting in the universe as a way to release fear. Okay, let's read this and then let's have a little conversation. Fear is asking for your attention and your healing right now. You or another are operating from a position of fear. If you also see red flags, you might be headed toward genuine danger, perhaps repeating a lesson You don't need to learn again. You can honor this kind of fear by saying thank you and protecting yourself by choosing another path. In this moment, you have all it takes to make this shift. If, on the other hand, the fear surrounds the idea of taking a risk, be mindful. Radical trust and accepting the discomfort of the new is called for you, is called for as you move out of your comfort zone. Ask for the courage to take a leap into the unknown and know that all will be well. But know that all will be well doesn't mean all you have come to expect. Ooh, y'all. Stories from the past may be molding your expectations right now and causing fear based on anticipated hurt. Let's read that sentence again. Stories from the past may be molding your expectations right now and causing fear based on the anticipated hurt. Don't isolate yourself or fall for the false idea that life is too painful and engaging with it should be avoided. How about loving that side of you that is afraid, that is acting out, that is causing all this unnecessary commotion? You will never be happy if this small part of you controls your life, and it will if you allow it. Remember to be gentle with yourself and with others. Once you let go and relax into life, everything looks brighter and friendlier. Today, choose love over fear. You'll be amazed when you do. Okay, listen. Y'all, fear is asking for your attention right now, right? As Uranus moves into Gemini, this is the third in our transpersonal planet shift. Everything is changing right now. How many times have you heard me say, call in a shit show and you're going to get a shit show? Now, those words have never rung more true. You can say this is the end of everything, or you can witness this as the transformative moment that it is, right? I said to you as we talked, this is the time for ideological transformation. It's going to happen. Uranus reminds you that how you square up to change is exactly how change comes in. If you say, this is terrifying, this is awful, this is going to be the end, this is catastrophic, then it is, right? And then you're feeding it, giving it more and more and more and more from the depths, right? Pluto is already retrograde. Neptune is already retrograde. Saturn is going retrograde. All of these ask you to go inside. Pay attention to what you feel and how your feeling is calling in more, right? Jupiter is in Cancer. The way that you have the capacity to nurture yourself right now is exactly what you're seeing. So take a deep breath, square yourself up to what you want, right? You don't want more pain. You don't want more suffering. You don't want more loss. You don't want more betrayal. Where are you doing the work to create something else for you? You are the only thing that you can control. You can't even engage outside of your comfort zone, right? Until you do that work to heal within. So at this full moon, pay attention to what you're doing that isn't giving you anything and perhaps shift your trajectory to lean into the things that will. Right? That's all I'm saying. Be blessed, guys. Talk to you next time. Take care.